Tonight we have with us Kelly Bigos, our recording secretary, Tom Wooden, our town manager, J.D. Warren, Selectmen, Russ Hoffman, Selectmen, myself, Denise Griffin, Bill Hamblin, Selectmen, and Wendy Wool, Selectmen. And in the audience, I think I saw Julia Latter, our financial recording guru. So, first order of business is to approve the minutes of the May 27th meeting.
One correction. I actually think Chair Griffin called the meeting to order, not Chair Hamlin.
Oh,
Okay. The same correction.
All right. Any other corrections? Perhaps of a more,
Move we approve the amended minutes.
Second.
okay. All in favor? Okay, motion carried.
Just giving you your due.
Oh, thanks, I didn't notice that. Financials, Julia.
Okay. You have before you the revenue and expense sheets. Total revenue year to date, $7,337,958.29. Total expenses year to date, $6,771,064.09. And as you can see on the graph, we're on target exactly to the percentage for expenses year to date and a little above for collections compared to this time last year.
99.2, that's pretty impressive, Julie.
I know.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you.
Real good, Tom.
Did anyone have any questions on the revenue and expenses?
Yeah, yes, I have a question. This is really just a clarification since it says total bank balance. And I'm curious, do we actually, in a bank account, have $2.4 million? And
Yes,
if,
it's
and
cash.
if so, is that bonded to protect us
It is.
for the
Yep.
FDIC?
It is bonded, and that is what we have. It's, we have numerous bank accounts with reserves and stuff in it, so that, those aren't included in this value. This is our general checking account with our sweep account.
So our risk is a bonded risk?
Exactly.
Great, thank you.
And our total accounts payable is $496,607.32. And as Wendy spoke, $2,403,772.98 is the bank balance. And I had a pre-audit sort of the other day. They came down to collect some work and scheduled it today, July 16th, 17th, and 18th. So that's when our annual audit will be that week. I just wanted to give you the dates of our audit this week.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, great. So moving on, town manager announcements.
Most of the issues I was going to talk about have become business or, yeah, I guess they're all new business. But the only other thing that I can think of right off is tomorrow's the primary election here from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m., just as an FYI. Other than that, I don't have any other announcements this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. All right, public hearings. I think we have some public hearings tonight. That's okay. I am looking at the new applications for victualler licensees. There are 3 of them. They're different classes. The first one is for Sarah Scoops at 206 Townsend Avenue. It's a Class C. I think we may as well just take these individually since they're different classes. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
This is new because it was late? Question?
I don't know right off the top of my head. Let me see.
It says renewal on the form,
Yeah.
and she was operating last year, so I'm pretty sure she had a license.
Sarah Scoops.
Yeah, it is because it is
It
late.
was late? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Any other discussion? Any concerns? No? Okay, all in favor? Okay. License is approved. The next license is a Class H for the Lobster Dock.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'm not quite sure why this is new either. It must have been late.
After the renewal time of the May renewal that you guys do them as a group.
Yeah.
They're considered new and they have. to
Oh, they're
be-
all going to come in as new. Yeah, because obviously,
Right, they've been in.
Lobster
existence
Dock's been around a while. so, okay. We had the motion, right?
And we had a second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, carried. And again, a Class G for Capers, kind of the same situation. Been open for a little while. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. And then we have a special amusement license for renewal for the Chowder House and for Lincoln Bay Resort. Okay, they are both Class C, amplified vocal or instrumental music. For the Chowder House, it says inside dining area. Occasionally upon request between June and September around 2 to 11, Sunday afternoons 2 to 6. For Lincoln Bay Resort, it says May to October, mostly weekends until 11.
And these are renewals both.
Yeah, they are.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
You moved to approve both, right?
Yes. I just have a point of clarification. If there were ever any complaints of abutters or people in the area, how would we know that, looking at the,
That's why these are public hearings,
Yeah.
and they would come to this meeting and they have a
so it
right,
would really be from public response?
they have a right to speak at this.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, they are approved. Okay, moving on to old business. Real quickly, I just want to give an update on where we were with the group with Walkability Branding Group that is working with people from other towns and the chamber. And we are at the point where we kind of selected 2 final designs for a logo and a tagline for our region. We are going to bring a larger group of people together in sometime after July 4th to get some input from everybody in the region. And really what we're kind of thinking of this is that I think everybody in this room knows where things are in town, but this new logo and tagline are really going to be used for more advertising purposes and to bring more people into the region. So we hope it's going to be used by all the businesses in all the towns and kind of unify the region or the peninsula together. So more information on that meeting will be forthcoming after July. The information will be coming before the 4th, but we hope to get people together shortly the week after the 4th. So the people that have been involved were pretty excited because the design work is really nifty. I guess that's the best thing I can say right now.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Denise, can you say again, the purpose of the meeting after the 4th is to?
To get more input to kind of help us vote on the final
So
design.
to vote on these 2?
Yeah, vote might be not the best
Or
term,
select.
but to help us
That will be
select
the
and
selection.
gain input and support into the
Okay.
final design. And I think it's also, I'm really hoping we can get people of all generations, that we not just have baby boomers at the table, because we're advertising to all sorts of people
Right,
at all
sure.
sorts of generations, not just my generation or So,
Yeah, we got it.
yeah, you get it, okay. I don't need to go into the age thing anymore than I already have. So, but it will be the similar, we hope a lot of new people, but similar people who came to the big meeting in the Y last fall
Right.
will come and participate in this meeting again. So that's what's happening there. Okay, so the other old business, it wasn't on the agenda, but we think this is a great time to talk about the Wharf Street project. For those of you who just came to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, we held an open communications meeting about the Wharf Street building project at 6 o'clock to hear a little bit more about the plan and also to give opportunity for the designer and builder to explain why they needed to ask for road closure for during the construction phase. So I think we had a good meeting. There were lots of suggestions and comments and concerns raised, and both the Knickerbocker Group and Eric Martin discussed some of their plans. And as a result of that, I think we have Selectmen may have a proposal with regards to the road. And I'm looking at you because you have great notes.
I move that we agree to the closure of the byway in accordance with a traffic plan presented tonight by the Knickerbocker Group dated June 9th, 2014, subject to the following additional conditions. First, that in each case where their Gantt chart shows the byway is being open only on a Sunday, that it also be opened on a Saturday. That is, the gates would be opened from 3 o'clock Friday until Monday morning when they would be reclosed. Second, that the signs directing traffic down Wharf Street and the byway, instead of just saying residents only, be modified to say residents and business patrons only. Third, that there be every effort to open up additional room in front of the cannery so that there is visibility for that business to people coming down Wharf Street. That was third. Fourth, that we limit the contractor parking to within the closed area of the road. That is, the contractor should not take up the additional public parking spaces that are in the area. They would be, of course, free to park in the town lots, either by the footbridge or up behind the post office. But they're not to take the additional public spots that are down in that area. And I forgot what number I'm on, but additionally,
Five.
conditional upon a successful dry run of the fire department and their ability to get their trucks down and around the corner on Bridge Street and the byway. And they are going to do that dry run tomorrow morning early, so we will know that in the next few days. And finally, that the approval is conditional for 30 days at a time, subject to monthly meetings of the parties to review progress and to adjust the schedules so that there is minimize the impact to both the builder and the businesses in the area. Did I get it all?
Well, I think first we second it. Is that true?
Yes.
So second.
Okay, okay. So, any discussion?
Really good, Bill.
Was there a point about reserving 2 spaces on Townsend to offset the parking spaces that may be lost on the back of the insurance agency as a condition?
No, there wasn't. I didn't
No.
hear that.
Hear that.
I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that.
It's not a bad idea.
If the truck makes it
Yeah,
around without an issue, then it's
Yeah.
not an issue, but
Oh,
Well, I
What
think
did you
it's
say?
contingent on the
Did
successful
you say
run of the truck.
Yeah, I said consistency on
Right,
a
so
successful
if
dry run.
it's unsuccessful, we'll have to come back and discuss. what
There you
it
go.
is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
great. Well, that's not good parking for you.
I mean, I think that, what we said earlier at the meeting was that we are the town is more than willing to make parking accessible, and we want to make this, if this project is a go, we want to help make this project as successful as possible and as pain-free to other businesses and residents as possible. But because we know in the long run that we expect that the benefit from the project will be positive for the town.
So,
And it could be
sorry.
a precedent for future buildings, so we want, or future construction work, so that was kind of our thinking.
So I guess I would ask that Bill amend his motion to include, what I heard in the last meeting was a lot of good give and take and cooperative language about working together to make this successful in what is our neighborhood. So I guess I'd like an amendment to include, and I'll struggle with the words, but some language that addresses that this closure be conducted in a spirit of cooperation and something.
I have no problem with that, and that is, in fact, the intent of the monthly meetings.
Right.
That this approval is contingent upon, that there be give and take at those monthly meetings and a spirit of cooperation to improve this project and to minimize the impact on both parties, both the builders and the neighbors.
Yeah, I think you captured that.
Does that work?
That works, sure.
That's what I moved.
Okay, good. I'm good.
Okay, any other discussion? Any discussion from the audience? No? Did we cover all the points? Good. Okay. We ready for a vote?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All in favor of the motion as Bill and Russ outlined it?
Right.
Okay, motion carries. All right, I think the project can proceed to the next stage. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Any other old business that we didn't cover, or that wasn't on the agenda? I mean, I don't think there is. No? Okay, great. So the next item is new business, and the first item under new business was for us to spend a little bit of time brainstorming what we hope our goals to be for the next 11 months. Did anybody do some
Yes.
thinking or some
Madam Chair, would you
homework?
like to lead off as the leader of the group?
Well, I have a long list here, so some are kind of real short-term projects, but I certainly think we want to complete, we are almost done, but we want to complete our fish pier renovation. We have already talked about asking, and we have asked the planning board to address the parking code. We need to work on our plans to renovate the tennis court areas. I think we still have to revisit our website.
Yep, we're going to quote that out again. Yep.
And kind of sort of more longer projects that I'm personally interested in are just implementing walkability, sidewalks, kind of continuing to be cognizant of of improving the look and feel of the town, whether that be physical look and feel or also economic development look and feel. So those were some of the items I had.
Great. I'm actually happy to build on that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, since I'm new, I don't have the laundry list of the shorter term projects that I'm as familiar with, but I certainly think those are all laudable goals. I would hope one thing that I think Tom, the Selectmen, the Budget Committee have done a great job of keeping our annual budget very, very tight and keep the budget increases at a minimum. And I hope that we can continue to be very, I guess, parsimonious in how we look at town expenditures. I expect town people probably are very grateful for that, and I think we should treat every dollar as something that's, we need to think hard about spending, and I would like that tradition to continue. You know, Denise, you talked about walkability. My list really looked at sort of more global things of trying to really think about the harbor in two ways. One, how can we as the select people really do things that make our community feel more livable and connected and make Boothbay Harbor a more desirable community to really attract businesses, attract residents, and really provide sort of a sense of excitement about the community that I think is often defaulted into what we offer in terms of the natural beauty and the environment, but I think in many ways we don't spend enough time about talking about some of the other things that are in our community that are really assets. So it's, I'd like to spend some time identifying what we think are real assets in the community and talk about how we build on those and really strengthen our profile as a way of a very, very strong community with a lot to offer other than just what people would typically think in terms of tourism and things like that. I think the walkability is a step in the right direction in terms of trying to make a community, particularly with older people, having places where we can walk and exercise and get through town in ways that encourage physical activity, better health. I think that's an alignment with a lot of community groups, including the Health and Wellness Foundation and others. And as someone that lives in West Boothbay Harbor and I have to walk from McCowan Point Road across the West Harbor Pond Bridge and keep looking both ways over my shoulder and there's no sidewalk there, I think there's some major things we can structurally think about long-term that would make the community more connected. And it'd be good for our kids in the community and good for their local residents. And the other thing, alluding to the one question that came up in the Knickerbocker presentation about losing and restoring a light source, and there was the alternative to think about a solar-powered light source versus another one that was more traditional. I'd really like for us to try and think about how whenever we have decision points to make, we can try and do things that really encourage us to move towards sort of a green and more environmentally sustainable peninsula. If we can figure out greener technologies when we're replacing things or building, that can have the effect of diminishing overall operating costs over time, and those are just smart decisions that I think we need to make as a town. So that was my brief list that, you know, in 1 year, I hope we can get all that figured out, so.
That's a good list. I like that list, Wendy. And maybe as I've now finished my freshman year as a select person, I had a pretty long list a year ago, and that included a lot of things from economic development to doing something for veterans to getting our town facilities off the grid in the next 10 years. And I'm pleased that we made a lot of progress in several areas, but I also am reminded that it takes a long time to get things done in any organization. And so in thinking about this past year and And this coming year, I maybe scaled back a couple areas and just had a couple things that have come to mean a lot to me. I like both of what you, Denise, and you, Wendy, said, and I will embrace all those as goals. I think what I've gotten involved in with the ambulance service has been a good step. The learning curve is steep, and in many ways, I'm in a different world when I'm at those monthly meetings. But I'm learning a lot, and I look forward to learning more. And so my personal goal is to report back to all of you in writing on a monthly basis what transpires at that meeting each month, with the intent that by the fourth quarter of this year, the beginning of the fourth quarter of this year, I have a full understanding of the revenues and expenses of that group so that I could report that as well. But I think that opening that sort of venue of communication has been a positive step. And the other thing that I would like to work on is attendance and involvement of the public in not only our meetings, but our annual meeting. And after our annual meeting this year, a few of us kicked around some ideas, including serving breakfast, and I'm good at pancakes, so I'd be willing to take that on to some extent. And I wasn't surprised by the sort of lack of high attendance at that meeting. We know that volunteerism in general is down nationwide, but I guess I'd like to at least think as a group about what we could do to increase participation and involvement. So those are really the two things that are on my list for the coming year.
Excellent items. I'm glad you brought those up, because they're both good. And I think actually years ago, we did in fact have maybe not breakfast, but certainly a variety of muffins and coffee and things like that at the meeting, so.
There you go.
Yeah, we need to.
Food works.
Food works, it does, absolutely, absolutely. So that's great. So wonderful. And we'll look forward to reports on
Good, yeah.
on your
Yeah, I'd like
meeting
to-
with Boothbay
I'd like
Region
to set that
Ambulance.
as a goal, yeah.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of changes is going on in healthcare as is quite obvious and apparent to everybody. And we all want, I think, a high-quality ambulance service, but I think we also some of us are concerned about the cost of healthcare and being affordable and being efficient at the same time, so, as well as being high quality and effective. So,
Well,
Jay.
my goals, as I've seen, I've began my second term, and I've seen a lot of things happen in the last 3 years, a lot of positive things, and my big thing is working with the businesses. I think to develop more employment in the region for the, I don't know how we do that, but we certainly can approve of different things that we did, like the fish pier that we worked on with Chuck. I have, and been over there, and I get around, I visit the businesses. I think that's very important as a selectman to visit, and I go around. I really get to see the businesses and see how they operate and what their problems are, how we as select person can develop a better relationship with the businesses, because that's what pays the taxes. You know, the more business we have in here, the better off we are. And I go along with you, Wendy, with the budget. Keep keep it the way we do, and Tom, you do a very good job with the budget.
Thank you.
In the budget committee and the selectmen, we don't, like I said in the paper, they quoted me in the paper, we don't, we don't do a lot of spending like drunken sailors. We're very conservative. And I'm proud of that as a selectman, that I remember when we were broke 7 years ago. And it's taken a long time to get us to be solvent. And,
Didn't take that long, Jay.
well,
So
and
noted.
also working on communications, which I think that meeting today was outstanding, to have all the contractors come in, and that's what it's all about. We've come a long way. I remember when we didn't have those meetings, and things get astray, and I think all of us, all 4 or 5 of us here, have the same thought. And that's good, because we can move forward. This town needs to be moved forward. I work, and like I say, walkability. I come in from Squirrel Island, every day, and I say, how do I get to these areas? There's no maps. I went to Camden this weekend. They got maps all, they know where to go. I knew where to go. They had people handing out maps. So that was outstanding, If they can do it, we can do it, These are the things I'm gonna be working on. Basically more communications, business oriented. And Chuck, I get over that quite a bit, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Huh?
One of the frequent flyers.
Yep. Yep. And the other thing is that we haven't mentioned is the project up on the Middle Road, which is the cold storage building. And that's on its make. I think the foundation's in, and
Yep.
of course that's right up by my house, so I can get a good chance to look at it and check it out, But these are the things that I think is important to the town, is to move forward and be. And we've come a long way. I don't want to be negative at all. We've come a long way in the last few years to develop what we have. And I hear more positive things. The only thing I hear now and then, I was going to mention it tonight, is the parking situation. And every town has parking problems. That was something I was going to adamant to be working on. How can we solve the parking problem in town? So that was one of my goals.
Okay,
Okay, that's all I got to say tonight.
thank you. All right, Mr. Hamlin, you're last.
The delight in going last is you guys have, I think, covered all but one of my points.
All right.
But I will run through them to reinforce that, because I think there have been a lot of good ideas to put on the table. I grouped my ideas into sort of 4 major groups, and last year we talked a lot about economic development, and I actually changed the heading on that group this year to Boothbay Harbor Development, because it encompasses more than economics. And I think we've done some things that highlight that, and one example, of course, is the gateway concept, and reworking the tennis courts into something that's inviting and welcoming as people come into our town. So I had conclusion of that project. Implement the branding and the signage. I want to get those signs up this year. And that's certainly on my list as well. And in that same vein of Boothbay Harbor Development, I agree entirely with Jay about continuing to communicate with the business community, continuing our meetings with the chamber and individual businesses, because that's our lifeblood, and we need to be responsive there. So I reinforce that entirely. And the one additional thing that we haven't talked about yet tonight is we are in the final throes of finishing up the comprehensive plan. And there are a wealth of ideas in that, more ideas than, candidly, than we can implement, being realistic. But there are good ideas in there, and I suggest when that plan comes out, we should go through it and select the top 1, 2, or 3 concepts in that plan and do our due diligence and work on those issues. Comprehensive plans tend to be edifices that get put on a shelf and not looked at. That's not fair. It's hard work. You really got to put your nose to the grindstone, but there are some things in that plan that we should pay attention to and that we should try and implement as time goes on.
Can I, just along those lines, is there an upcoming public meeting on the comprehensive plan?
There will be.
There will be.
Well, Thursday is a meeting of the committee,
Okay.
but there will be a public meeting to review and comment on the plan. They,
I don't think that's been scheduled yet, has it?
I thought
Okay.
maybe, yeah, there was a tentative schedule, but anyway, there will be a public meeting,
Okay.
absolutely. I wanted to reinforce the work with the ambulance service that Russ has done. I think we have really implemented a sea change in the way we interact with that group, and they are an important group in town and are emerging as one of our more expensive issues. I'm very pleased that we have a dialogue and a communication with them that didn't exist 3 years ago. And I want to continue that. So it's not an us versus them, it's what can we do together to optimize that service. Of course, I can't leave off the fish pier. We're in the 11th hour there, but there are some things to be done, and I want to make sure we finish up. I want to make sure we get good signage down there so that people know it's a public fish pier, so people know there's a public launching ramp. I want to make sure we get the green space out in front of the building to highlight it. Already it looks so much better than it used to look, but we can do a little bit more. And along the same vein, as has been talked about in terms of the town's infrastructure, execute the plan for the cold storage building. And part of these things we're doing is so that our out-year maintenance gets decreased and we're more efficient in the long run. And we should continue to look for opportunities to do that as we look around town. And then the last thing I had was, has already been mentioned as well, in terms of sort of our town administration, and I think we can do better in moving to online capabilities. And we've been talking about getting a paid provider for our website. We could work to get the meeting minutes online. A lot of towns do that, and that's one way perhaps to increase participation. Is if someone can go online and look at the meetings, meeting minutes. I think that helps. A lot of towns have online mooring databases, just make things more efficient, more work. And so continue to improve the communications, internal and external, and continue to promote a positive customer relation atmosphere that we have been doing. That was my list.
Okay, great ideas. How about if I take a stab at just typing these all up and distribute them, and then we can look at them at the next meeting?
Sure. I
Good
assume
idea.
Kelly will have them typed up also. so,
Yeah.
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 Maybe I'll take,
Let's see whose
Kelly's.
memory's better. Yeah.
actually, Kelly, your minutes come in a Word document, right?
Yeah.
That's copy and pastable?
Yep.
That's what we'll do. You do yours, and then I'll copy and paste and put them into a separate, just one pager for people. How's that sound?
Right.
Perfect, thank you. That'd be great. Okay, good. Any other discussion about those?
Nope.
Okay, super.
Oh.
Yes,
I would
absolutely.
like to ask one thing, because since economic development and sort of looking at our assets, I think is really important to push to the future. Do we ever have joint conversations with the Boothbay Selectmen and Town Manager? Because when I think of economic development, to me, I think, yes, we're the Boothbay Harbor Selectmen, but we really need economic development within the Boothbay region. We have kind of a very limited land structure within Boothbay Harbor, but say the Botanical Garden in Boothbay really benefits the innkeepers here in Boothbay Harbor. And I just wonder if we have opportunities for collaborative discussions with Boothbay about how do we really think about better economic development, and not just through the voice of the chamber, but what we can do to facilitate that. Because the chamber is a Boothbay regional chamber, and I think we should be thinking about collaborative discussions in that regard. Does that occur?
It has not occurred
not, no.
recently.
There's not.
I think when it comes to some specific things like walkability and the branding, Mike Tomko and I actually went to the Boothbay selectmen's meeting and kind of pitched the project there. And then Mike went to the other selectmen's meetings at Southport and Edgecombe as well. I didn't attend those. So it's certainly something that, that we can talk about, particularly when there's I think, when we have a real topic to address.
Yeah, but I'm not really even talking about an issue focused, because I think that gets down into very sort of minute decisions, but really.
You're talking about getting together.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I think it'd be helpful for both of us to meet, say, with the chamber, to talk about how do we all work within sort of the triangle sphere, the chamber, the harbor, and Boothbay, to really think about how we promote really good economic development that has jobs that are year-round with benefits, and how do we do that in a way that really puts the community in the best light? I don't know if we ever have just sort of educational sessions, but the informational meeting we had about the street closure was a great way of saying, we're not talking about we're going to make a decision, but we really need to work together and flesh out where we might have opportunities to work or apply for grants or things like that that may push this forward. I think more brains thinking about this obviously are better, and it's better if we do it in a way that's convergent and synergistic rather than siloed in our own communities. So
We have done that as far as the chamber. We haven't done it recently, but we were meeting quarterly with the chamber.
yeah, I think
just-
it's great.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we haven't done it particularly
Yeah,
recently, but
There have been interactions over the time. They tend to be, well, at the Bras meetings, Steve Willis was there, so there was an interaction there that happened. And we've had Hannaford discussions with Chuck Cunningham when he was chair about economic development issues. But they tend to be informal and ad hoc, and so
I meet-
not having the structure that you're suggesting.
another thing that I do is I meet quarterly with the water district, the sewer district, Jim Chaosis, Boothbay's public works director, my public works director, and we just sit and basically talk about what projects each town has going on, what things do you have coming up, trying to coordinate things between the towns. So there's an example of, yeah, we do it in that regard, but that's not necessarily economical or, economic development, but it's more infrastructure related down here. But
Right, yeah. I mean, there's some, exciting opportunities, I think, in newer businesses. And, I mean, Rockland is a great example of a community that focused on trying to build a different, younger, entrepreneurial, creative economy. And it's taken many years to do that, but it's paid great dividends because they started talking about it and trying to figure out how do they recast their community as a place to attract younger people and particularly cultivate, say, an artistic community. I'm not saying that's what we need to do, but you got to start those conversations.
we also have Community Link, which we meet once a month with the Boothbay Town Manager, the Chamber, Botanical Gardens, representatives from a variety of nonprofits and so forth in the area, and just other community leaders and so forth, and just talk about what's going on in your world, just to better coordinate things. So there is a fair amount of it, but you can always do better.
So that would be on my wish list. Thanks.
Okay, great. Let's move on then to approving the fee schedule for the upcoming year.
Last week, I sent around the fee schedule to everyone, and the only change that's been recommended by anyone is to add a fee for town office weddings. We formerly didn't have that on here, and we seem to be having that happen quite regularly now.
I was going to ask, how many town office weddings a year
Yeah.
are there?
Oh, boy.
Tons.
Yeah, it's tons.
Really?
Yeah,
What is
All the
tons?
time. I mean, we have,
there's a couple a
I
week.
probably have witnessed 20 someone in here.
Yeah, there's a couple a
I don't know
week
how
anyway.
many.
20 a year?
Well, more outside.
It depends on the time of the year, too.
Yeah.
It happens more in the summer season. We get
Yeah.
a lot of them in the summer, but
We have a lot of them.
yeah, I'm surprised, actually. Yeah.
I don't want to disincent marriage, but it's probably reasonable. Yeah.
So that $50 proposed fee is the only change to this.
I guess I would continue to ask question about that. And the reason is why? Why
Well,
would we?
It's a revenue
Charge
source.
a
Most
fee.
towns do it. Yeah, most towns charge for performing weddings. And we
Does
haven't
it
because
cost us?
minimally,
Time.
minimally. Yeah,
A
time.
lot
to
of
ta-
times, they don't come with their witnesses, so Michelle has to gather the witnesses together and stuff.
Takes our
We've
office staff
gone-
to be witnesses, yeah.
A
But
lot
they
of
occur
those
when the
drive-
office is open, right?
Michelle does a lot on the weekends
She
as
does
well, but
both.
that is her being a notary.
Yeah.
Can,
I don't know.
can I ask, sort of in a related vein, but really for any of these fees, what are the provisions that we have when individuals, say, have financial hardships, and what are, is there a process to have a waiver for a fee or a reduced fee or anything if someone is in a financial hardship situation for any of these things? I
haven't
just
had
am
it-
unaware of that.
I haven't had it come up. So I haven't had anybody ask me to waive a fee, so I don't know.
No, we did, we had.
Did we?
Yeah.
I've had it for
There was
taxes.
There was a planning board fee that was asked to be waived. And as it turns out, as we did the research, there are some fees that we are allowed to waive, but for the majority of them, we do not have the authority to waive it.
So would we have the authority to waive the wedding fee, for example? You know, let's take the young, poor, struggling couple who wants to get married desperately and doesn't have the $50.
You have the authority to not set a fee. You could
Which is
just
what
leave it
I would
as it is.
suggest. Do those same people buy a license, a marriage license here?
Mhm.
So they're already paying that fee, right?
Right, they're different things, right.
You talk about economic development, right here. Free weddings in Boothbay Harbor.
Or low-cost weddings in Boothbay.
Every notary charges for that, though.
And I think that's where Michelle was going, is that, she pulled
Yes.
other town offices. and
She was one of the few
some were
that
networking, and she
didn't
was
even
one of the
charge.
few that offered them, so.
But you were suggesting $50.
She was,
Or
yeah.
she, well, that's the suggestion
Yeah.
on the
I
on
mean,
the
other
table.
cities charge more.
Could be less,
Sure,
could be 25.
it's up to you.
Well, I'm just,
Well, I'll
I don't
make
know.
a amendment to that proposal, that since this is a new fee, I'd prefer to start a little lower, at $25. And then if we can follow up in terms of see what the revenue generation is, and if there's been any issue with that at all, then we can advertise lower cost in Camden, handing out maps, when we have lower cost weddings. And that might be an enticement for coming to our community.
There you go.
okay.
Gotta have a little humor in these meetings, come on.
All right. It's,
Denise,
the
I don't
fee
have a
structure
problem.
with the,
I don't have a problem with it, $25, whatever. I don't. Are we bringing it home? or what are we
So,
doing?
anyways, but we're in discussion.
Oh.
Any other discussion?
No.
I like Mike's idea of Boothbay Harbor, the town of the free wedding.
Any other discussion? Shall we vote on the list of fees with the addition of the $25 wedding fee? Yes?
Need a second?
Well, I think it was seconded.
seconded.
Oh, we're seconding.
Are we
We're all
all ready to vote?
seconded and we're all discussed.
Yeah.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. The fees have been approved. All right, next
Thank
laundry list here, municipal appointments.
Yeah, I sent this around as well last week. The first 3 pages are actually appointments. The 4th page, and I don't know if you have them all, still 4 or 5, but the 4th page are elected officials, and the last page was the election ballot clerks, which I reminded you of the other day. You already approved before town meeting, so I would suggest that you maybe take pages 1, 2, and 3 individually and approve them, and I've got some explanations for page 3 as we go through this, or clarifications.
Okay, so you're suggesting we take them by page?
I think that's easiest, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So can we have a motion to approve
Since I
page
don't have the
one?
pages
so
in front of me.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to approve page one. Any discussion?
Second.
No, it was
Oh,
second.
sorry.
It was second, sorry.
You're thirded.
I'm third, yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Is there a motion on the table to move
So
page
moved.
two?
So moved.
And a second?
And I have 2 questions on page 2.
Wait a minute, do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah,
Okay,
one second.
sorry, I didn't hear.
Jeff Smith being the health officer, since I'm a physician, I'm just curious, the either training or alignment of skill set to be the health officer.
Well, what does that mean?
What is it? I had the same
What does
question.
that
Yeah.
mean?
What does that mean?
Very,
And I'm just curious, what would the health officer be asked to do that Jeff would be ready to respond to, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff would be better prepared to answer that for you, but the only thing I can think of is, assessing living conditions in certain places as to whether or not they are sanitary and livable. He's had some issues with that, where he's inspected it on the health officer standpoint. But as far as exactly what training you have to have, I'd have to have him send that to you in an email or something, because I don't know off the top of my head.
But I think Tom's right. I think it's an offshoot of the code enforcement
Right.
skill set.
That part is, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we used to have, what's Dave Bean's wife's name?
Kathy Bean?
Kathy Bean
Kathy,
used to
she
be our
was.
health officer. He
Yeah.
actually, when he first got here, had to become state of Maine certified, and it's actually a certificate program that they sent him to. And they deem him, and it's things, the Maine Disease Control.
Yeah,
He has
Maine
a
Center for
certification
Disease
through them as well.
Great, so he has that certification?
I have all the certifications.
Great, then, if he's certified by Maine CDC, then he's probably just fine for that
Yeah.
position, so. But I also wanted to ask about Director of Emergency Management
Mhm.
Agency, that's vacant.
Yep.
And I know we have some expert emergency management folks here. What does that mean functionally for the town? I mean.
Well, right at the moment, Scott Campbell is our EMA director, but he's stepping down as of June 30th. We have an ad running, obviously, to replace that.
Basically what they do, Wendy, is when we have a storm, big storm, we man the station up on the middle road, the public works, and we.
It's a chain of command.
It's a chain of command that comes down through, we're involved with like Central Maine Power, all the state agencies, if we need assistance for anybody.
Lincoln County.
Lincoln County, right, goes through, all through that. And that's basically what, it's quite a system that this individual has to do.
So this is a vacant with intention to fill, basically.
Right. We've run the ad once before and didn't get applicants that were good fits for it. We're running it again for the next 3 weeks, and hopefully we'll fill that. Yep.
All right, I don't have any other questions on that.
okay. We ready to vote on page two? All in favor? Okay,
Thank
great.
you. On page 3, under the planning board, June Phillips has presented her resignation today, and Mike tells me that Tom Churchill, who's the first alternate, would like to move up to the regular position, take the spot that June Phillips is stepping down from. So that's one change that's different. That happened today, so since this was sent last week, it wasn't on here. Fred Farnham has turned in his papers for the Port Committee, so he's renewing. Margaret Splain and Mary Neal have both turned in their papers for the Budget Committee. So all 4 people, including Mike, that their terms were coming up have put their papers in. So the only change to this would be having Tom Churchill on the planning board move up to a regular position.
Sounds very appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, can we have a
I'll
motion to
move
accept?
that we approve page 3 with the amendments that Tom mentioned concerning June Phillips, Tom Churchill. And was that it?
Yep,
Maybe
taking
that's it.
taking her
Just the two of
full-time
them.
position. Yep.
So,
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have two questions. One, I see all these vacant, and I'm just curious, how do we increase civic engagement, as Russ was speaking about, and really publicize what these committees do and how people can have an opportunity to serve their committee, or serve the community?
It's a good question, because it's
Yeah.
getting
I mean,
very
we have a lot
hard.
of smart people here that we'd really
Yeah.
be enriched by their
Yeah.
involvement in some of these things, and,
Well, I share your concern, too. I look at the Board of Appeals, which has a 2-3-year term limit. We only have 3 people on our Board of Appeals at the
Right.
moment, and 2 of them, their term is up next year. I won't have a Board of Appeals at that point.
yeah, I'm,
That's kind of a problem.
yeah, it is. I mean, how do we go out and solicit these? Or bang the drum or advertise in the register? Do we
We do
have
that.
annually some sort of like little
We-
boilerplate description of what these do?
Yeah, we run that ad constantly. It's also up on the board here. It's on the website. But
I think the best way has been personal
Yeah.
requests.
it's usually word of mouth, yeah.
It's word of mouth and leaning on your friends who may be on the fence to engage in the wonderful world of town government.
Right, you might even get elected selectmen. You
That's
never
right.
know. So, yeah, I know how that works.
You know how it works, so
Yeah.
now you just have to repeat that.
Yeah.
That's how, right there.
Well, I'm just trying to think. I think Chris Haskell, who ran for selectman, he made a very good point about trying to get younger people involved in town issues in town government, and I think that's really important. And if I look around the room, most of us are older than what I think would be called the younger age group, and some of these things are not as much time.
Grandpa, you can call me Grandpa now.
Where we went here.
We're the end of that boomer generation.
But I'm just trying to think, younger people are not as likely to read the paper, they're probably not stopping in the town office, so maybe we should put this on our list
Yeah,
to supplement
good idea.
Russ's civic engagement of how do
Good
we
idea.
figure out other ways to publicize and build some awareness that people can participate and go to maybe some different venues to try and talk about what the opportunity set is here.
I will say, I thought, for me personally, I was first on the budget committee, and I learned a ton being on the budget committee.
Sure.
I really did. So that was, and I think being a member of the planning board, that I give the planning board members a lot of credit because it really is, there's a lot to learn and a lot to understand in that, but planning board really makes a big, the decisions the planning board makes, I think make a big impact on the town.
Yeah, and I would say perhaps there's an intimidation factor of someone saying, well, I'm not a general contractor and I couldn't be on the planning board, but I think that's part of our commitment to really say, if you're interested in serving, you will learn and we will help you learn. And, sometimes it's the naive person that asks the right question, so I think that's part of
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
fielding of the opportunity, so. The one other thing that I think's worth mentioning, since we just received the note, is June Phillips' very gracious note of resignation. I thought that was a very meaningful and lovely way to tender her resignation. Hope her health improves, so.
Okay, so, are we ready for a vote on page 3? Yep, all in favor? Okay.
I'm
Yep.
voting for
Oh.
everyone, but I think I'll abstain from the budget committee because I have a family conflict on
Okay.
that, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That's all I have for
That's all
that.
you have?
Yep.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
We don't vote for ourselves.
All right, great.
Do it like ourselves.
Been there already, been there, done that. Okay, so moving on to public forum. Does anybody in the audience have any comments, questions, concerns tonight? Now's your chance to speak.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Jim
Jim.
Powell, Spruce Wall. I was down the waterfront park, the Whale Park, over the weekend, spooning out my favorite sugar-free ice cream. And I noticed that something bothered me down there. It was almost an embarrassment. We know how popular that place is with tourists and residents alike. Can anybody know, does anybody know what I'm referring to? That's kind of tacky down there?
No.
No. A bulletin board that sits in front of the restroom. Speaking of tacky, there's like old thumbtacks, rusty thumbtacks with little pieces of paper stuck to it on there throughout the entire board. And in the middle of it is a glass enclosure with a lock on it. With, as it turns out, there's about 6 flyers down there in that glass enclosure from the Opera House, dated September, October, and November of last year. I don't think I think they should be removed, and this entire bulletin board might use a coat of paint or something.
I think
I don't know,
I think
just-
Kathy's the only one that uses it.
Who
I mean,
does?
Kathy at the Opera House.
Yeah.
She comes up, gets a key, and advertises there all summer.
Well, as I said, they're from last fall.
Right.
She has a few new ones outside of that glass enclosure, I noticed, but I think I wanted to put something for the Coast Guard in there last year, and I had to get the key from the town office to open that up.
Right.
But other than that,
Well, so that's
It's
a
maintenance,
town,
yeah.
that's a town
Yeah, that's
bulletin board, or whatever you want to call it,
ours in
case.
Public Works. Yeah, that's
Right. So somebody from Public Works can go down and take all those outdated things down.
yeah, just,
It's no
Yeah.
big deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
not an issue, but it's just looking for
Okay, thank you for pointing that out to us. Appreciate it. Any other comments? Okay. We're going to go into executive session briefly under MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 14056, to discuss labor contracts. No decisions were made, no votes were taken during the executive session. All right. The next item on the agenda is to approve the warrants. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the warrants? Okay, motion carries. And the last motion is?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
There can be no debate. All in favor?
Yes, thank you.